Defeating armies, bombing state property, and opening fire in the middle of the day at civilians might sound like the craziest things Mexico's drug cartels have committed. However, the Sinaloa Cartel of Mexico has broken all the limits there are to craziness, brutality, and violence. These are some of the craziest things the Sinaloa Cartel has done that will leave goosebumps all over your body. Methods of torture. They say once you have caught the mafia's eye, no power on earth can save you from their wrath. While the Sinaloa Cartel has made its name in the drug trafficking business, they are known to grant the worst possible fate to its infiltrators. One such incident involves the murder of 36-year-old Hugo Hernandez, the infamous leader of the Sinaloa Cartel who was extradited by the Mexican government. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman used a chainsaw to behead Hugo and send a warning to law enforcement to stop them from using aggression against the cartel leaders. And Guzman did not forget to record himself committing the horrific act. After he was done chopping off Hugo's head, he peeled the victim's face and stitched it over a soccer ball. Hugo's body was cut into 7 pieces and left on the streets of Los Mochis with a spine-chilling letter that read, "Happy New Year, because this will be your last." Sinaloa authorities found Hugo's head wrapped in a plastic bag. In another location, the victim's torso was found while his arms, skull, and legs were wrapped inside a box in a different location. It is said that Hugo was abducted on January 2nd, 2010, in Sonora State, which is famous for its marijuana growth. However, nobody knows why El Chapo committed such a horrendous act on Hugo Hernandez. Violent confrontation with the police. The city of Culiacan saw the most violent police confrontation on the 5th of January 2023.
Tonight, Mexican neighborhoods littered with bullet casings as dozens are dead in the wake of Ovidio's arrest.
Right after the rearrest of the son of Sinaloa's king, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Ovidio Guzman was captured as a result of a crackdown on the drug cartels in Mexico. However, soon the authorities realized the extent to which the Sinaloa Cartel can go to save face. On the morning of the 5th of January at 4 a.m.,
Ovidio Guzman, known as the Mouse, has been holed up since his 2019 capture and release here in Sinaloa, Mexico.
The police arrested Ovidio Guzman, not knowing the violent consequences of their actions. According to one resident of the city, "It's been a real mess. They're shooting up in the air trying to bring down the police helicopters. The whole town is a mess." They went as far as kidnapping medical personnel from the hospital to attend to the wounded cartel members. Ambulances were seized, reporters were threatened, and the press faced massive violence as their vans burned on the road for trying to show the world the barbarity of the Sinaloa Cartel. The Sinaloa Cartel's private army shot at anyone who was out on the streets and attacked the residences in the city. One passenger jet was hit by a bullet at the Culiacan International Airport. Even though the son of El Chapo was arrested because of the pressure from the US, the Mexican government immediately released him, giving in to the violent response by the Sinaloa Mafia members. Similar scenes were witnessed in 2019 when the Mexican military arrested Ovidio Guzman. The month of October in Mexico looked like a setting from a war-struck zone. Without any fear, the cartel's gunmen roamed freely. Their US-trafficked arms shined on their shoulders as the men from the Sinaloa Cartel spread terror in the city of Culiacan. They took control of the metro stations, shut down airports and government offices, and shot at the security forces for several hours. Almost 8 people died during a war no one anticipated. Maybe it was the fault of the army's planning that failed the operation. But one thing was clear: Sinaloa Cartel ruled the city of Culiacan. People who went out of their homes to work were stuck in their offices for hours. The cartel showed the army the intensity of its power and control in the city. Gunfires were exchanged, and eventually the army had to give up and release the son of the greatest leader of the Sinaloa Cartel, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. El Chapo escapes prison through a tunnel. While El Chapo lay in bed with his mistress, a knock on the door disrupts their time. El Chapo's personal secretary barges into the room and informs him about the police raid. As the police drew closer to the world's most notorious cartel leader, what they did not realize is that Guzman prefers to stay one step ahead of law enforcement. Guzman runs into his bathroom and opens a door inside his bathtub that goes into a tunnel. Inside the dark tunnel awaits a bike ready to take Guzman, his wife, and his mistress out of the reach of the police. This happened in 2014 when Guzman eluded arrest and told the world that he is not an easy catch.
Our number one priority is the Sinaloa Cartel, and that's our focus. Unfortunately, the Sinaloa Cartel is producing most of the fentanyl that comes into the United States.
El Chapo will use his tunnel method yet again to escape maximum security prison for a second time after 2001. Known as the ADX, the Administrative Maximum Facility, is the highest security jail in the United States. No one has ever managed to escape this prison except the Sinaloa Cartel's leader, El Chapo. According to a retired federal corrections officer, it's a very controlled environment. No one moves there without permission at all. No two inmates move in the facility at the same time. A total of 400 inmates resided in the jail. However, no two inmates were allowed to roam outside together. There was barely any light coming inside the jail cell, yet Guzman escaped through a tunnel dug from his bathroom to a place that set him free from the world's most guarded prison. This penitentiary, which guarded the world's most notorious criminals in the world, failed to keep El Chapo behind the bars. Eventually, El Chapo was helped by his most loyal partner, who dug a tunnel for his leader and set him free from the unbreakable ADX. Embarrassing the law enforcement. In June of the year 2012, the Mexican Navy caught the attention of the press with a surprising announcement claiming that they have caught the son of one of the leaders of the Sinaloa Cartel. The Navy presented Guzman's son, Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar. In a press conference, the forces presented a brown-haired boy who had the face of a baby, wearing a bulletproof vest and protected by the best of Navy men. Because El Chapo was the most prominent figure of the Sinaloa Cartel, catching his immediate relative was considered a successful coup against the kingpin of the mafia gang. However, the applause to the Mexican Navy was short-lived when immediately after the conference, El Chapo sent the lawyer of the Sinaloa Cartel to announce that the boy was not his son. Right after the announcement was made, a woman who had no apparent relationship with the drug lord came forward to confirm that the boy was, in fact, her son, named Felix Beltran. She claimed that her son is a 23-year-old car dealer and has no business with drugs. DNA tests proved her statement, and the Mexican Navy faced severe embarrassment, not only in front of the country's press, but also in front of its powerful neighbor, the USA. The fentanyl craze and Sinaloa Cartel's profits. According to the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration report, 67% of deaths in the year 2021 were a direct result of overdosing from fentanyl or similar opioids in America. The DEA says that fentanyl overdose is the main cause of death of Americans under 50. Thanks to the Sinaloa Cartel, the deadly drug is smuggled into the U.S. religiously, and the cartel is making huge sums of money by importing the drug straight from the labs of China. Not only does the cartel openly claim to smuggle the drug into the US, some sources have found out that Sinaloa Cartel sells fentanyl powder to smaller gangs in Mexico and also produces fake prescriptions for the powdered fentanyl. Causing a fentanyl crisis in one of the superpowers on the planet Earth, the Sinaloa Cartel has continued making money off of its vulnerable customers in the neighboring country. The US DEA has announced to take action on the matter. Today, the Justice Department is announcing significant enforcement actions against the largest, most violent, and most prolific fentanyl trafficking operation in the world, run by the Sinaloa Cartel and fueled by Chinese precursor chemical and pharmaceutical companies, said Attorney General Merrick B. Garland. Even though the U.S. is making efforts to save its civilians from the brutality of the drug mafia, the Sinaloa Cartel continues to grow as the most notorious drug traffickers in the history of Mexico. Sinaloa Cartel has long forgotten the days of a more dignified approach to drug trade. It is a widely known fact that fentanyl can instantly cause a person madness and eventually death. However, the cartel has no intention to be considerate when there are thousands of dollars flowing into their pockets every day. As the cartel gets more powerful and wealthier, their craziness in the crime world exceeds human expectations.